Okay, so this video is an informal video to try to resolve some doubts that the people ask me about Brisa. Yeah, all the contributors are going to receive one of these t-shirts. It's one of the gifts that we want to do to the first contributions. And well, what is Brisa, no? Because when I say that it's a framework, no, obviously it's a framework, but which kind of framework? There are a lot of people that ask me, it's another React framework alternative, or it's which kind of framework? No, because there are a lot of concepts of framework. For example, Express is also framework, or Elisa, or Hono. So Brisa is like an alternative of Next.js, SvelteKit, or Solid Start. Is in a similar way level of framework. But then probably you are asking yourself, okay, but Next.js is using React. SvelteKit is using Svelte, and Solid Start is using Solid.js. So then Brisa, what is using, no? What is using Brisa? Okay, Brisa is using the web platform. So this is why we put the web platform framework. So the idea is using the web components, but they are written in an easy way using JSX, using signals, and all the service and rendering is automatically handled by the Brisa server part. So you don't need to worry about it. And yeah, web components are smaller than all these frameworks. So the client part of Brisa it's only 3 kilobytes, including the signals, so that in the future we are going to integrate with the platform this part, so it's going to be smaller than now, that is 3 kilobytes. And there are a lot of great parts. So using web components improve the communication between both worlds, the server and the client. So here in Brisa, we are using the server components and also server actions written in the same way that web components, so that the developers doesn't need to think so much. So the only difference is that by default, everything runs on the server. And the only exception is the web components folder, and there you can write the web components in an easy way. But web components are part of the DOM, yes, are elements of the DOM. And this is perfect for server actions, for example, because in other frameworks, to handle this, they are transferring in HTTP, but with a different kind of transferring. It's not using hypermedia, HTML, are using JSON or are using JavaScript directly, and needs also more code in the client to handle this. All the streaming part is very much complex in order to handle. And the good part that using server actions with web components is that we can transfer hypermedia in streaming. So we can render on the server and sending the HTML in streaming directly. And there is a different part on the RPC, the remote procedure call, that is the 2 kilobytes that is handle all this communication between the both worlds, the server and the client. And when receives the chunks of HTML, it's only updating the elements that are already changing. And if there is some web component that it changes some attribute, web components has signals not only inside using the state, etc. Also the attributes are signals. So then are responding to the signal and only update the little part of this web component. And also if inside has another web component, It just like the propagation of signals with the attributes, and this works fine. But much more, and we like the web platform, so we move all the events part to the server. So it's a different concept of server actions. You don't need to put use server or use client anymore. So all the events that are handled on server components are server actions, by default. It's creating like an API, no, in build time, and you can use it in any event. You can use it in on click, on submit, or in an event of a web component. And yeah, this is another point that web components matter here, because it's an easy way to just handle some web component event directly on the server. And inside the server action, there are some different kind of response after resolve this action. And one of them is the render of the page, similar than Next.js or another frameworks. And this is important when we want to re-render not only this component, or also another server components in the same page to be according to all the changes. For example, if we do some change in the database, we want that all the page is updating only the parts that matters. But also, it's possible to re-render only the component itself. So then the re-render is faster, because you need only to render one component, one server component. But much more. So we add a new concept, and this new concept is action signal. So here is a different way, because do you have a store, but this store lives in the both walls. No, in the client you have a store, and in the server you have a store. And in the server, this store lives only in request time by default. But the good part is that you can unify these walls, and you can say, okay, but this property I want to transfer to the client. And when you are doing that, we add a new concept that is the action signal concept. And this name is because you can benefit a lot on the server actions. On the server actions, you can update and store value, transfer to the client, and then without any render, you can react to the client signals. All the web components that has registered this store property, it updates automatically. So it's another point. And well, the idea of this kind of server actions is to improve also the client code, because we need to think about two types of interactions in the web page, in the websites in general. There are the server kind interactions, server interactions, no, that the interactions that requires a server. For example, in an e-commerce, if you need to add an item to the cart, this is a server interaction, and is a server action. And thank you to that, you do not need to write code on the client. So the RPC is automatically handled this by you. And the idea of Brisa is that we support web components, and we like it, but web components make sense only to use when it's necessary to use it. So you can, if you want, to create a single page application without any web component. However, probably doesn't make sense in a lot of cases, because if there are some interactions that only happens on the client and needs to touch some parts of the real web platform, so like touching the local storage or something, etc., then it needs code of the client, and it needs this web component thing. But if not, we can use server action here. I hope it clarifies a little bit about the goal of Brisa, what is Brisa, and why it exists. And maybe tomorrow we can do an streaming. I'm not sure yet because I need to create Twitch, but well, if write in the comments some questions also, and I'm going to try to resolve all of them. And well, try Brisa and enjoy it.